Welcome to OState Daily. Casey Porter here. So glad that you decided to tune in. Fans, today we have a very, very, very special guest, Tracy Moore, one of the great receivers of Oklahoma State history. During that period of time where Oklahoma State scored 1,000 points a game, joins OState Daily. Hey, I love that broken arrow shirt there. I know you just got out of practice, Tracy. How the heck you doing, man?
I'm doing fine, man. Like you said, just got out of practice, grinding every day.
Absolutely. Wanted to back up first before we started. I wanted to congratulate your dad. I know he's very dear to you. He actually was a great basketball player at the University of Tulsa. Graduated from John Marshall back in the mid-'80s. I can remember those John Marshall teams in the 80s and then both the 90s. About 10 years later, they were dominant again. But he was inducted in the Tulsa Hall of Fame in 2005. Talk about that.
Oh, man, it was actually an incredible experience because especially us having the same name, a lot of people get us mixed up all the time. And, when they realize I'm not him, they start telling me stories, they have about him and watching him play. So to watch him going into the Hall of Fame at TU was very motivating for me, especially getting to see it at a young age.
So whenever people ask, do I call you a tight end or are you a wide receiver?
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Okay, got recruited some as a tight end, and then really did a great job on your body to become a wideout. That was a matchup nightmare when you got to OSU, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, when I first went to Oklahoma State, the first time I weighed in, I weighed 249 pounds. So I was a bit out of shape and had to get down some and almost got down too much. But, I was still able to be big enough to, be a really good size and develop some more speed. So
you certainly did that. That's a teaser to some of the Oklahoma State talk we're going to talk about with Tracy Moore. We're going to get to that big 53-yard catch that you caught against OU there along the south sideline headed towards the west end zone. I can remember yelling my head off like it was yesterday on that play. But I wanted to back you up to your Tulsa Union days, the U, right? Jeremy
Yes,
Smith, and then Jinx was your big rival. They had Kewan Jones and all those kind of guys. And it seemed like every year, you'd play in the regular season, and whoever won the game in the regular season would always lose in the championship game, right?
Yeah.
That was a great rivalry, wasn't it?
No, definitely, man. It was nothing like playing in one of those rivalry games, man. It actually got me prepared for the Bedlam games and all that, those other big rivalries. But for a high school rivalry, I don't think it's outmatched in the country.
No doubt. You go to Chapman Stadium now. It used to be Skelly Stadium, and it was standing room only to watch those games, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. We couldn't have it at none of the high schools because of how big the game was, so we had to move it to a college field, and also people wanted to see it at a neutral site instead of saying, well, they won because they were at home. So gave us a chance to play on college turf and feel that college atmosphere a little early.
So you're at a rival now, Broken Arrow, a school that I never could figure out why they haven't won like the state title every year, because there's like 6,000 people in that school, right? So tell us how Tracy Moore got to catching passes against OU and beating OU in the Bedlam games to where he's at now as the receivers coach at Broken Arrow.
Well, it all kind of started after college, trying to stay in shape. And I've always been I've always wanted to be an anchor for kids growing up, younger kids, especially athletes. So when I got done playing, I started training. I've been training kids for 10 years. I've had 2 or 3 different gyms. And one of my old coaches from Union got the head coaching job at Broken Arrow and asked me to come on board. And I was a little skeptical at first, but I've been here the last 4 years, man, loving it.
Yep, and you and Jeremy Smith both came to Oklahoma State out of Tulsa Union. You were a huge recruit coming out of high school. So was he. So talk about the reasonings and why you came to OSU and that whole process.
Well, one, Jeremy was always a huge OSU super fan growing up. My oldest sister went to OU, so I was really more of an OU fan growing up. And we kind of had the idea that we wanted to go somewhere where we could change the program. OSU hadn't won a Big 12 championship yet, so the bigger schools I wasn't really interested in because I wanted to go somewhere and build it and help get to where the bigger schools was winning national championships.
So you came in 2009, which is a really cool period because Mike Gundy was still calling the plays in. Zach Robinson was still the quarterback. And so you got to play for Dana Holgorsen in 2010 and 2011. Then you also got to play for Monken as well. So you got to play for some great offensive coordinators. First of all, talk about what Dana Holgorsen was like and then also Monken.
Holgorsen is probably one of my favorite coaches, hands down. Just a high energy guy. Players coach for sure, man. Like he's not one to try to put you down and all that. He's definitely a players guy and knows what the players want, what they're capable of, and gives us an opportunity to show what we can do. And Coach Monken was more laid back, kind of the same thing. Really, really good coach, really brilliant offensive mind. But I mean, obviously, Coach Holgorsen, the way he threw the ball, can't help but love that as a receiver.
No doubt about that. And, you know, in those air raid systems, of course, I think him and Coach Gundy kind of got together and combined some philosophies to make the greatest offense in college football for several different years during that period, and you're definitely a part of that. But was it as simple as we've heard as far as, hey, there's only a few concepts, but let's get really good at this, and we kind of just determined that the way the defense plays it determines how the routes end up and that kind of thing? Was it that simple?
Yeah, when you say simple, it ended up being simple because we got to a point where, you know, we worked it so much that, you know, it wasn't a bunch of different concepts, but we did run them a bunch of different ways.
Yes.
Out of different alignments and all that kind of stuff. And then my favorite part was being able to adjust routes, you know, according to what the defense is doing. So I love the system, man. I think he had like a card for his play call sheet. It was wild.
Did you guys ever hide his Red Bull trying to be ornery?
No, you don't want to touch that man's Red Bull. I'd hate to see what he's like without it.
Hey, talk about some of the receivers. Of course, you know, iron sharpens iron, and I'm sure you trying to make your impact at OSU at a time where OSU had just one great receiver after the other, including Blitnikoff Award winner Justin Blackman, one of the greatest receivers in college football history. Talk about the receiving room and how you guys all made each other better.
You know, it's funny that you bring that up because I was just talking to my kids about it yesterday. It was rough. My freshman year coming in, you know, Dez is obviously the star receiver. And, you know, then when he leaves, it's like, okay, it's time to step up. And then, you know, Blackman does what he does. And just like I told my guys, you got to find a way to get noticed. You got to find a way to make an impact. And we push each other, man. I don't think I've ever seen a group of guys as together as some of those years that our receiver corps were together. I mean, we had nights we went out and hung out, you know, went out to eat together, and we constantly pushed each other. Defense as well. Defensively, communicating with, you know, guys that's guarding you. How did you know I was doing this? Just open your mouth and talking and not having an ego. I think that's the biggest part of it was nobody had an ego and felt like they couldn't be coached. You know what I mean? They always listened and, you know, hashed things out, and that's how you get better.
What was it like getting to catch balls from Brandon Whedon? I'm sure you had to wear an extra set of gloves because he threw it like 1,000 miles an hour, but it seemed like he was always in a great spot.
Oh yeah, definitely. Whedon makes your job easy and hard at the same time because if you don't catch it, it's your fault. But the man throws the ball like 100 miles per hour, and like we literally had to go get a new jugs machine because the jug machine we had didn't go fast enough. So pretty cool deal, man. I've seen him break guys' fingers at practice. I just don't want to be that guy, but yeah, he's not. It's going to be exactly where it should be. So it's catching to come over here and sit down.
I think that the only thing he does better than throw a football maybe is hit a golf ball. You ever play him on the golf course?
No, we joked about it all the time. We bet. We had bet a couple times that I couldn't hit under like 200. I was like, I've never played golf before. So, and I told him we're actually pretty good friends with Ricky Fowler, and Ricky
really?
He was gonna train me for a week, and I was gonna take Whedon up on that bet. But I haven't seen him play, but I heard he's pretty good.
Oh yeah, he needs to take you out there to Southern Hills at some time. there in
Oh,
Tulsa
yeah.
and hit the links, man. That's a nice place. Hey, let's go to the 2011 Bedlam game. And that was a game to where, 2009, you go to OU. Oklahoma State's favored. We don't score. Zach Robinson's hurt, that kind of deal. 2010, that's the game where Sam Bradford gets flipped. You have the crazy interception. OSU doesn't win that game, and it's just like you just feel like you're jinxed. So as good as OSU was in 2011, you're coming off the Iowa State game. As a fan, you're still thinking, okay, well, I know we're a hell of a lot better than OU, but damn, man, it just seems like something always goes wrong in this game, right? So when you caught that big 53-yard catch, I was like, okay, we can all breathe now, right?
Definitely. I think it was like that on both sides, especially coming out after that loss, the week before the Iowa State, or I think it was 2 weeks before maybe, and
Yeah.
It was just having to sit with that bad taste in your mouth, man. I think, the team kind of gelled together and said, no more. It's not happening again. So let's go dominate OU, and that's what we went out and did.
Take us to that big catch. What was the play call? What was the – I know you were coming across them. I think it was a crossing pattern. You're headed back to that south sideline. Tell us through the call. Take us through the play. Take us through all that.
So I think it was a play called 95, and what that is me at the slot receiver. I don't think he rolled out on it. I run under the first linebacker, over the second linebacker, but I got to get across the field. And I knew I was going to be open because I'm always open on that play. And I'm like, all right, somebody's got to get it started. Why not? Let's do it. And when I caught it, I was kind of amazed there was nobody there,
Yeah.
So then it turned into a foot race, and I could feel the guy behind me, and I'm like, nah, he's not catching me. But I was so focused on him, I didn't notice Tony Jefferson coming downhill at safety. I should have jumped over him, but I think that got everybody kind of rolling. Like, okay, we can beat these guys. We are going to beat these guys, and it starts now.
Yeah. So was it excitement before the game, or was it nervousness? Like, hey, we know we should win, but we just haven't had any luck. I mean, do players feel that way the same way fans do? How did that feel pregame?
Not necessarily that year. I think that year we knew we were better than everybody. I'm sure there was a couple guys on the team, after the Iowa State loss, that's like, oh, we lost to Iowa State. But I think the core of our group knew what we were capable of and knew what we were supposed to do and went out there and did it. But I mean, there is some nervousness to some big games that, that you don't know if you're going to win or not. Like, it's just the nature of the beast.
Mm-hmm. And would Oklahoma State, would that 2011 team have beaten LSU? Les Miles' team.
Definitely. They dodged a bullet on that one.
They sure did.
Bullet on that one.
They sure did. So what was it like getting to play with such a great receiver like Justin Blackmon?
Justin's one of my best friends. He was actually assigned to me my first day as a freshman at OSU. So I got to watch him go from zero to superstar overnight, and being his roommate for 4 years, watching him never change. I think going back to your question earlier, that kind of helped our room as a whole, because he wasn't that a-hole, superstar. Yeah. I'm better than everybody.
Prima donna.
He acted like every one of us. So playing with guys like that, man, it's such a blessing, getting to see guys have success and do it the right way.
Yeah, that's absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. So you got to play for Coach Gundy. You got kind of some of the very first years where he passed down the play calling duties. You got his first couple of years where he tried at least tried to be more of a CEO type of guy. I know he's so competitive. It's so hard for him not to be right in the middle of all the play calling. It still is to this day, as long as he's done it, just because of the competitive nature that he has. But what was it like playing for Mike Gundy?
Playing for Coach Gundy was pretty cool, man. Like, I mean, you get to see him on TV all the time growing up. The I'm a man, I'm 40 thing, and then getting to go play from him and learn from him, it's just awesome, man. I mean, his system's definitely different than those other, two coaches. I think we were pretty sure we huddled that first year. It's a lot slower, which is what I'm used to, and then speeding it up was a blessing, but it was a change, and that first year you happen to play as a freshman, Coach Gundy trusted me to get the job done and actually had a pretty decent freshman year.
He absolutely did. And what do you think of this year's team? I know it's been disappointing the last couple of weeks. Really, it's kind of been disappointing in a lot of different ways all year long. But if we know anything about Mike Gundy, he's always at his best when his back's against the wall. So what do you think about this year's team?
They have a pretty good team. I'd like to see the quarterback situation get shored up a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, if Bowman's going to be the starter, let him go. Yeah. Unleash him. I think Ollie's got to be him. In order for our team to be, for OSU to be who they are, it starts with him, and it starts with that O-line. Once we get that established, Presley and all those other guys outside is going to take it over. And our defense is good. Our defense is really good. We just got to be consistent.
You ever see Presley in high school, him and his brother at Bixby?
Oh, yeah. I live in Bixby.
They were amazing, weren't they?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
They were absolutely amazing. So how connected do you stay with the program? Do you come back and watch games? How connected are you?
Last time I came back was our 10th anniversary of that 2011 year, I believe.
Oh, nice.
When I first started, when we first stopped playing, we made a deal where the receivers, black men, and all that, we try to all meet up and catch a home game once a year. But, I mean, with me coaching now, we play on Friday nights. So Saturdays, we're game planning for next week, so I really don't have much free time to go. But I talk to Coach Dunn all the time. He's my receiver coach, and I stay pretty connected as much as I can.
All right, Tracy Moore, this has been such an honor. I just enjoyed watching you play so much. All the way back, I got to broadcast some of those NFHS finals games on the NFHS network, and so I followed you and Jeremy Smith throughout high school, all of your games there, the rivalry with Jinx. Obviously, a huge Oklahoma State fan, enjoyed every minute of your career there. So this is such a great honor for me to get to speak with you. Hopefully this isn't the last time. Tracy Moore, thank you so much for joining OState Daily.
Thank you for having me. Go Pokes.